What's up, legends? As you may already know, the new Illuminate update dropped and introduced, of course, the Illuminates as well as a new vehicle. And a few hours later, a new Warbond dropped, packing the game's first dedicated melee weapon, a new armor with a new passive, 3 new stratagems, and a new booster. Around the same time, a second melee weapon dropped on the Superstore as well. And I unlocked every single one of these features and tested them all out against each of the 3 different factions in the game, with the exception of the vehicle, which we'll get to later. And spoiler alert, some of these are amazing. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into all of the new content. Let's start off with the armed resupply booster. This booster is unlocked on the second page of the Urban Legends Warbond, and here is the booster's description. Mounts a modified AR-23 Liberator to all resupply pods, allowing them to double as automatic turrets. So one interesting fact about this booster is that it doesn't seem to increase the enemy's aggro towards it, meaning they kind of just ignore it and let it shoot them down as if it were just a regular resupply pod. So it will lead to quite a few free kills as units don't actually attempt to stop it. One problem I found with these turrets is that it will try to shoot down armored units it quite clearly can't take down, so it will waste some ammo there. Another issue with this booster is that its ammo is very limited. At best, it will kill about 10 to 20 or so small units, which is not bad, by the way, and it can definitely help you out with dealing with small units, most notably the Voltless on the Illuminate or Scavengers and Pouncers on the Bug side. I just personally wouldn't really pick this booster over a more powerful booster like the Muscle Enhancement, Stamina Enhancement, or the Vitality booster, but it is quite a nice little addition. Do be careful, it can kill Helldivers, so keep an eye out for that. And also, as you'd expect, it's pretty horrible against automatons. At best, it can really kill a couple of troopers. Next, let's talk about the new Recon Vehicle. It's currently just scattered around the Illuminate maps every now and then, and you can't quite equip it as a stratagem yet. But it is my understanding that it will come as a stratagem soon enough. The Recon Vehicle seems to be decently tanky. Probably it'll feel a lot less tanky against the automatons, but yeah. It doesn't really go down super easily. It is very fast, of course, and quite challenging to drive, or maybe I'm just a terrible driver. The weapon mounted on the back seems to be a heavy machine gun with 4 extra magazines for you to reload, and I tried to use a supply pack to see if I could add more mags to the vehicle, but it doesn't quite seem to work that way. However, the shield generator pack will work and will be very useful in this position. Matter of fact, it works whether you're in the back or if you're driving, so that's a nice little extra protection. The vehicle also has a fuel capacity, so you can't drive these around forever, but it does seem to be quite large, so no issues there. One thing I do have a small issue with is that the game doesn't quite seem to have any vehicle key bindings, so it'd be nice if they would do something about that. I really wish they would add a key for switching between the gunner seat and the driver's seat without actually having to jump out of the car. It would just make the experience so much more smooth in my opinion. But it is nice to see a step in this direction with the vehicles and all. Next, let's talk about the Directional Shield, which will compete directly with the Ballistic Shield, of course, so we'll keep the comparisons between the two of them. The Directional Shield, much like the Ballistic Shield, does not block melee attacks, so simplifying it, it is a terrible pick against the Terminids, much like the Ballistic Shield. Also, it does not block explosions, so same performance on that front. The Directional Shield does have a limited health pool, and after quite a few shots at it, it will completely deplete, and you will not be able to use the shield again for 7 more seconds. So that's a bit of a downside when comparing with the Ballistic Shield. It also loses in how it can protect you, the user. The Ballistic Shield pretty much covers you from head to toe. Especially when you crouch, you become nearly immune to ballistic fire. The Directional Shield, instead of protecting you vertically, it protects you horizontally. It actually has a very large horizontal protection shield, which is best used in team play. The Directional Shield is going to be a team play pick, not really a solo play pick, especially because you can actually shoot through the shield. So friendlies standing behind you can actually shoot through your shield while keeping themselves protected. So one player running this shield or 2 players can protect an entire squad, which sounds amazing if the squad is well focused on team play. I have personally not tested this myself, but I have seen players mention this. Yet another win for support players. Up next, let's talk about the melee weapons. I know a lot of people are very excited about this addition, but please don't be upset at me when I say this. I really don't find it to be an effective weapon at all. I mean, it is funny to use and an awesome change of pace, and I genuinely am looking forward to doing a melee only run. But with that said, that would definitely be a challenge run, because I really don't think melee weapons are better than, say, a crisper sidearm or a senator, especially considering you kind of have to build entirely around the melee weapon to even make it work, which is another downside. I mean, you can throw in the peak physique armor set and double your damage. By the way, according to Ervin on YouTube, the peak physique is only applying to these melee weapons if you actually attack with your melee button on your keyboard, not your mouse 1 button. But yeah, you can throw in the armor set, double your damage, but I still don't think it would be any good. Yeah, you can 1v1 a stalker on your own pretty easily, but you're never really in a 1v1 at higher difficulties. It's always like a 10v1, so you're gonna have a horrible time. The stun is great to allow you to manage these 1v1s, but it's not really that great at crowd control either. You're better off just using stun grenades for that. The stun lens and the stun baton, is that how you say that? Anyways, does not penetrate heavy armor. It has an armor penetration of 3, which means it won't be any good versus Bio Titans or Harvesters or whatever, but you can manage to stun a charger if you hit its weak spots. And you can combine the weapon with a ballistic shield or directional shield, but I would definitely not recommend you to use these against automatons unless these shields somehow protected you from rockets, which they don't. It's a really funny addition and it can be useful in stealth play, but it's one of those types of weapons that on the highest difficulty, you're just shooting yourself on the toe by bringing one of these out. On lower difficulties, it's fine and it's powerful, but yeah, you get the point. Also, as far as the stun lance versus the stun baton goes, the lance has a longer range but attacks a bit slower, whereas the baton has a shorter range but attacks a lot faster. I personally prefer the baton a lot more, but that will definitely come down to the player. Next, for the armor passive, I love this one. We get 20% more ammo on our primary weapon, and we reload our primary weapons 30% faster. Before we go any further, as of the time of this recording, this is currently glitched. The extra ammo and extra reload speed are currently applying to every weapon in the game. However, I've kept my thoughts and experiments reserved strictly for primary weapons, as the armor states. So this armor set will thrive on builds that rely heavily on primary weapons, such as crossbow builds or SMG shield builds and many others. And it will also shine on weapons that have to reload a lot, again, such as crossbow, or round reloaded weapons such as shotguns, or of course the epic Constitution. Another type of weapon that will shine from this armor set are weapons that run out of ammo very often, such as plasma weapons that are notoriously bad for their ammo efficiency. And when you combine a weapon that both struggles with ammo and needs to be reloaded a lot, then this armor set is twice as good. And as you may already expect, probably the best weapon in the game, the exploding crossbow, fits both of these criterias. So this armor set will buff the hell out of the crossbow. Shotgun users will also absolutely love this armor set. Now moving on to the Flame Sentry, I've seen very mixed opinions on this stratagem. Some people consider it terrible, others consider it amazing. First, what I want to say is that the Flame Sentry, much like the Gatling Sentry or the Machine Gun Sentry, is a type of stratagem that will decrease in potential as you ramp up the difficulties, since it primarily focuses on smaller units. But I'll say this. Even on the max difficulty, I actually really enjoyed the Flame Sentry. In my opinion, it's a whole lot better than the Machine Gun and the Gatling Gun Sentry, especially considering the Flame Sentry does manage to deal damage to heavily armored units. It will, however, of course, thrive against swarms of smaller units such as Terminids and Voltless enemies. And one thing I found about this Flame Sentry is that it seems to have infinite ammo, or at least such a high amount of ammo capacity that I saw it fire for nearly its entire lifespan and it never ran out of ammo. The The gameplay you're seeing there in the background, this Flame Sentry, not only did it dominate the entire level 4 Eradicate mission on its own, but it also fired for over 2 entire minutes, nearly non-stop, and it did not run out of ammo at all. I mean, it only stopped because this charger ran over it. So with that knowledge, imagine this Sentry in a defense mission. It will fire non-stop through a choke point, completely melting every small to mid-sized unit. It's definitely not to be slept on at all. Against the automatons, it goes pretty much as you'd expect. It's pretty bad on max difficulty due to the increased amounts of hulks. There is 1 or 2 hulks in every encounter, but the Flame Sentry can't really kill hulks, so yeah, steer clear of the Flame Sentry against automatons unless you play on lower difficulties. And last but not least, we saved the best for last, the anti-tank emplacement. And I'm in love. If you guys have watched my recent videos, I have been in love with the HMG emplacement, and now we have the anti-tank emplacement, so I'm not sure which one I love the most right now. The anti-tank emplacement carries 30 shots, and each shot deals an insane amount of damage. Emphasis on insane. Just check this out. The AT emplacement will one-hit regular or spore chargers to the face. It will take 2 shots to kill a behemoth charger to the face. It takes only 1 shot to kill an impaler on its neck, or 3 if you just shoot at the impaler in random spots, so realistically you don't even need to wait for it to burrow down. It takes 1 accurate weak spot shot to kill a Hulk. It takes 2 inaccurate shots to kill a Hulk. It takes 1 shot to a harvester's leg to kill. And it takes only 5 shots to kill a factory strider by shooting at its head, which is not even its weak spot. It gets rid of its turret in 1 shot, so make sure you do that first so you don't risk losing your emplacement. It also takes only 1 shot to a tank or a turret in the back heatsink, or 2 shots if you shoot at its front. A shredder tank also will only take 1 shot to kill regardless of where you fire on its turret. And I must mention, this thing doesn't even shoot slow either, dude. You might think, oh, if it takes 3 shots to kill a Bile Titan, if you fire at random spots, then it probably shoots slow, but it doesn't. This thing fires pretty quickly. You can get rid of multiple heavy units in just a few seconds. And oh yeah, you can also get rid of dropships fairly easily. And you can also kill fabricators with 2 shots on the side or 1 to its vent. I absolutely love how powerful this stratagem is. Take it for a spin when you can, you will not regret it. So that about covers all of the new weapons, stratagems, and armors released with the Illuminates. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe learned something new. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and subscribe if you want more. I'll be catching you legends on the next one. Peace!